Welcome to SerialPodcastNine.
Hang on, let's start the episode and then we'll talk about that.
Okay.
Gerard might get a normal car. All right, let's start the episode.
Gerard.
We've been talking.
It's not Gerard.
No, Gerard will know. Okay, well.
I have a normal car, the QX.
Yeah. Listen, my 11% beer is about to kick in, so let's start the episode.
11. Hey, I'm Gerard Peralta.
And I'm Kevin Peterson.
Maybe I should.
And I'm Ryan Benoit. And this is SerialPodcastNine, episode 37, which I didn't prepare for.
Season 2.
Season 2, even.
Yeah.
All right. So hang on. We were talking. Who's going to buy a regular car?
A buddy of mine has had a Crown Estate wagon for like a while. I sold it to him. Initially, they didn't like it. It's a family car. They have 2 kids. His wife drives it. He drives it. She fell in love with it after driving it for a while. It's been special. Like the kids grew up in it. He's had it for, I don't even know how long, man. 5 to 8 years.
7 years, yeah.
Yeah, it's been a long time. So that's their only car that they've had. And got into a little fender bender because we had ice on the roads the other day. So like it's a bit messed up. So now he has to like fix it. And his dilemma is, should I try to fix it and like keep it? And, it needs a few more things now. It's old and it's, whatever. Needs some maintenance and stuff. Or buy another kind of cool-ish Japanese wagon, or just buy a normal car like a CUV or an SUV or some sort of normal vehicle that everybody drives.
Some sort of V.
Yeah.
Vehicle with a
when is it going to be
V?
a sedan V? A sedan vehicle.
But that's the thing. They're not as practical, right? So,
What did you tell him to do?
Honestly, man, I told him to buy a normal vehicle. It's like he doesn't really drive that much. And I said for him, like, just get a car that you like for yourself. Like, if you want to get a cool car. But he also moved to the West End. I mean, he lives in Kitts currently. Well, he used to live in Kitts, so they had no parking
Hang
spot.
on, we have international listeners. Kitsilano is yoga country in Vancouver. It's like where Lululemon's head office is. So
he's a beach guy. They don't drive much. They just walk down to the beach and literally chill there all day. And like, you don't need to drive. I mean, obviously you need a car here and there, but like, so the car just sat for like a long time. Most of the time in the parking spot, they would drive it, it sits for a long time. Anyways, moves to the West End, but now he can't really have 2 cars because parking spaces in Vancouver are extremely difficult to come by / extremely expensive. So 2 cars means 2 parking spots means you're paying for it. So
pay to play, buddy.
So now they seem to be thinking of just getting a regular vehicle because because obviously they need a rental car right now because they don't have a car. So they rented a Rogue. And
terrible.
No, Rogues are dope, man.
I bet they loved it because it's not a 15-year-old car.
Exactly.
They're like a 25-year-old car. Like anytime Jody gets into a newer car, she loves it. Like she thinks Gerard's Infinity is amazing because it's a newer car to her. Like I make her drive 20-year-old shit boxes for the flavor of it. But like,
and I mean, that's the thing. It's like how much you got to love these old cars. And it's like literally almost any car from like 2015 up is better than what we're driving. You know what I mean?
And I'm so excited because this actually brings us to the question that we have for today's podcast.
Question.
It's a perfect lead in.
Who's it from?
It is a perfect one. It's from our boy, Meekzilla.
Oh, sick.
All right. He said, hey, exclamation point.
Hey.
I have a question for y'all. How important is the spirit of a car? What I mean by this is I bought a 2011 135i with a 6-speed transmission, thinking it would be a perfect car for me. And on paper, it was made 300 horsepower, 6-speed, good transmission, design, nice interior, AC, heated seats, etc. However, nothing made me want to drive it. I had bought a pedal tuner and a flash tuner to try to make it more raw, but it just wasn't there. I found myself looking at a JZX81 via social media and ended up straight trading this 2011 BMW for a 1989 JZ powered Cressida. He even put like laughing emoji cries.
Yeah, no, I remember when he did that. I was like,
I swear
that's a move.
I feel like we even talked about it. Like,
yeah, we fully did.
Seems like that BMW had no spirit. The feeling just wasn't there. So I guess my question is, how important is that spirit of a car? At what point does checking off the boxes outweigh the spirit of a car? And I feel like we've kind of talked about this a little bit, but this is a good segue.
100%. I mean, Kevin definitely he's done that exact move with the G35.
But I also want to say, like, I feel like every car has a spirit, if you will. You know what I mean? It's like that BMW had a spirit. It just doesn't jive with Mikey's spirit, you know?
Yeah.
You still
Mikey has like a X32 Cressida. Mikey has like a turbo 5M manual X7 Cressida on small wheels that he drifted. He had like a crazy Ford or GMC van that had like floor to ceiling like 5 windows or something along the side.
That was a Ford, I think, that Econoline thing.
Yeah, exactly. And then he put like these crazy like 15-inch center line wheels on it. It's like he's obviously like an old school guy. He likes that stuff. And then it kind of makes sense that he doesn't want to get the new car and it just isn't his. But like I think that car does have a style or a soul or whatever it is. But like I'm sure if you were talking to some BMW dude, he would tell you about all the intricacies of how that car is like really cool or whatever, you know?
I have a very funny story about that. And I don't know if I should tell the story or make my point first. I'll make my point, then I'll tell the story. I thought about this and I was going to argue no car has a spirit. And I'll put a period there. No car has a spirit. And that was the only way I thought we could make this episode work is if I argued this point. Second point. I went to Dimoff's garage, Jordan Dimoff of Good Vibes, and his dad has good Lord, what is it? It's like a Chevy air-cooled Corvair. Is that a
Corvair?
Corvair. Yeah, has a air-cooled Corvair. How's that? It's sitting there. I roll up in the Aristo 5-speed 2JZ. Living my life. James Kent's infamous S14 sits in the corner. Nobody's touched it, whatever. And then dude in M3 rolls up. All of us feel as if our car embodies the true spirit of cars, right? Like, I can't really explain this to you very well, but it's like Dimoff's dad's air-cooled Chevy. He's like, this is the least assisted car you'll ever get. There's nothing really auto assist about it. It's a very raw experience when you drive it. And then you come to me, I'm like, inline 6, twin turbo, like fucking 5-speed, big sedan. This is a raw experience. And like, you got to think that guy's like, well, no, your car is from like 1998.
Yeah, and it has a million computers.
Yeah. It's a luxury sedan. And then the M3 dude is talking to us like,
individual throttle body.
These things. This is how complicated. And I was like, and part of me before that was like, I think I like M3s. And then I started talking about it. And I'm like, I don't like M3s anymore because it was so. But we all thought that we were in tune with our like the closest to the raw experience you could have,
or the experience you wanted. I don't know. It doesn't have to be raw per se, right?
And that is actually it.
And honestly, when I had the Celsior, like the one of the nicest experience ever was just like you just get in it and like the world is somewhere else.
Yeah,
you're driving around in your own personal cloud of a living room, and it doesn't matter what the weather is or how bumpy the road is or what's going on out there. It doesn't matter because it doesn't change what's happening for you inside. And that's
sounds
it's definitely like a weird experience when you're used to like A86s with a straight pipe and no interior.
Yeah, exactly. That's like the perfect like juxtaposition or whatever.
It was definitely a come up.
Yeah, but that's how I feel too. Because I was even thinking today, I was like, I started thinking about this question, and that I came up with my no spirit theory. And then I was like, when I drove the Celsior, and even when I moved into Toyota from Nissan, I was just like, everything feels way better about this car than when I was driving like a 91 180 SX, like
except for the steering.
But the steering wheel I had on that car was so shit. And like
you weren't concerned about trying to like drive it in the same way.
I was just like, and like that became a car that was like, oh, it's cool, but then also it's not comfortable. It rattles. And then you get into like a Celsior and you're like, oh no, it doesn't do any of those things. And what I was going to say, Kevin, it's the perfect COVID car, because it's like the world outside is silenced when you get in, and you're just in there cruising around on a cloud like that motherfucker in Mario Kart that holds the signs.
I heard this thing about like the the VW Phaeton or whatever.
Yeah.
Like I guess that like it was only available to like the British royalty originally for a while, and then they sold it. But I guess like it was so quiet inside that like people would have trouble driving it. They'd like get like weird dissonance. They wouldn't feel connected to the road at all because it was absolutely so quiet.
Oh, that's interesting.
I mean, it's kind of like the same thing how they like pipe in engine sounds, I guess, and like
So to the original point, I think no car has a spirit because, kind of to lean on what you guys actually said, it's what you bring to the car. Like it's the same as music, I think. Like
I mean, I don't know though. Like I feel like if you're looking at like a historic race car and you know what the car's been through and what it's done, and like it kind of does have a spirit to it. You're like there's so much history that's right there that I could like see right now. But like
to me, that's character.
Like yeah.
Because like spirit to me is like this is a fun fact. I made the reference to music, and I've said it before. For all of the Russian death rap that Gerard listens to and puts in his videos, Gerard actually really likes music from the 80s, and that is a very subjective thing, right? Like, and I think there's a connection between, probably because when you were coming up, that was what was around and popular. And we have that exact same thing with our cars. When you were coming up, like, except for Gerard's is a bit different, but Kevin and I, when we were coming up, it was those Japanese cars. That is our 80s music, but except cars. That is our ABBA. Like Toyota is my ABBA.
Yeah.
Gerard likes ABBA. That's the reference.
I was going to say, I think, I don't know, like you and Kevin seem to be more sort of like ingrained in a certain spirit, if you will. I wanted Kevin to talk about his G35 experience. Like, yeah, it did all the shit right. It was easier to drive. It like made the same amount of power. And it had one aspect that he probably disliked very strongly, which was the sound of the VQ. Like, was the VQ a shitty engine? No. Did it make good torque? Yes. Was it responsive? Yes. Like, did the car fucking have good angle and like response? Yes. But like, it wasn't a JZ, and maybe just the shit about the Nissan-ness of it was too much for him. And he just was like, yo, fuck this, I'm getting a Toyota. But I feel like I'm a lot more like, I like finding the nuances and finding the like positives and the negatives, and I like finding the character and soul of many cars. It could be a shitty car or a nice car or whatever the fuck it is. And I just like, feel like I can appreciate it more from different like cars. Like, I remember like I had a Suzuki Esteem. I absolutely loved it. I have, my QX. I absolutely loved it. I had a fucking Altima at one point. And I remember thinking, wow, this thing like has so much torque compared to like whatever. Fucking Mazda, what was that thing? Like a Mazda 323. Back then it was like an EG Civic or a Mazda 323. And I thought, because I bought the thing for like, I don't know, $800 for my girlfriend at the time. And I was like, man, this thing's like way nicer to drive than the Civic because the steering's faster. It has more torque. It's like quicker. You don't have to rev the piss out of it. And like what's the big hype about these fucking Civics? Like, I don't know why these cars aren't more popular, but like, there's always just something about some sort of car that like, they all have their own character. I mean, but also in that same respect, I'm not going to go buy a Ford Focus or some shit. Like I just have no desire whatsoever to like get into that. But I'm sure like if it was a Focus RS or maybe it was like a European Fiesta RS or something, maybe I'd be into it. But like, I guess like, there's still like a realm for me, but maybe the realm is bigger.
I did think about that because I knew you were going to say that as well, because we've been over that part. And so the trouble with this episode is not to wander too far into things that we've already talked about. But I think I will say, I think in that aspect, maybe you are more special to that, where you're trying to find like the character of each car, of what the nuances of what will make it okay or great, or what they did well and what they did bad. I don't know if most people function like that. I do honestly think it's like, that's why we're like living in this time where
that's just like Gerard. I feel that's just Gerard's personality. It's like that about everything though. It's like 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 the other day he came in so excited to tell me about like the different length of stroke in turn signal between like the JZX90, the 110, and like the Crown, and I was just like, I don't care, man. I really don't give a shit. Yeah, like exactly. Like I don't care. I don't care about the stroke difference and how long it takes to initiate the turn signal on these different vehicles. Like,
but those are the things. Those are like the nuances that make the driving experience. You know what I mean? It's crazy because like you don't
not
think
for
about
anyone else but you. The funny thing is, I need you to come to terms that you are not the same as anyone else. It's like there's probably a very small segmented group of Gerards in the world. And you belong to that group that is like the full, like you design things, you want to design things and understand how they feel, but like it's a downward slope.
Let me say this
for everyone else.
So yeah, maybe I notice it and care about it. Maybe you guys don't, but the people that designed it, the overall aspect or the overall, package, maybe you guys just don't realize why a car is how it is compared to how this car is how it is. You know what I mean? It's like, you know, when Toyota designed the Crown, they're like, oh, this is for these people. So we need to do this. And then when, you know, Nissan designed like the fucking G35 or whatever, they're like, okay, this is the demographics. So like, it has to be like this. Like, you know, they have a scale of like sporty and a scale of luxury and a scale of like economy. Right. You know what I mean? And like they have to, or like they have a Venn diagram and they have to like, you know, door handle and it has to be like this.
The problem with Toyota's like Venn diagram though is it's like 18 circles that like 17 out of 18 parts of the circle all completely overlap, and each circle only has one tiny sliver that like makes it a little bit different, you know?
Like, reliable.
Reliable, quiet.
Exactly.
No, here's the thing, Gerard. I understand that. I mean, like, I think I've told that story where my psych prof in university worked with, or had a colleague that worked for Ford that was a psychologist. And their job was to like help figure out how to get like women between the age of, you know, like 19 to 34 to be more interested in the Ford Mustang in the center console, like the
infotainment.
And I get that. Yeah. But I also think that Nissan or Toyota probably has a bin of like 4 or 5 or 6 different turn signal timers, and they're just like sporty, and they throw it at a car. Like I think you're giving them a ton of credit, which is amazing. But like I don't know if it is that in.
I feel like Toyota does for sure, but Nissan's probably just like turn signal A. Like I bet you all their turn signals are the same. But it's funny, between an Altezza and a Crown, the turn signals are different, which is really fucking mind-boggling to me. But like clearly Toyota gives a shit, so it's like.
But maybe maybe the Crown one's out of like the same as an Aristo Celsior, and the Altezza one's the same as a JZX, and like a Corolla,
exactly,
right.
Pro Gray.
So Gerard, you're saying all of these things build to the character of the car, because now I'm going to define that as character. That then helps us identify the spirit of the car.
Yes.
Attach a spirit to the car.
Yes.
Okay, that's fair. To a point, because we've kind of talked about this before, but I think I said it. Did I say it before that we started this? Where it was like, I make my wife drive. No, I said that now. I make my wife drive like 20-year-old Toyotas because of the spirit of the car. But like, anytime
my
she
wife
drives,
would never do that. My wife would never do that.
Anytime my wife drives anything else, she's like, whoa, this is a really nice car. She's like driven a Hyundai. And she's like, I was actually very surprised. I'm like, no, that's garbage. And she's like, yeah, the CD player stopped working at the end of my, like, right before I returned it to the rental place. And I was like, yeah, because it's garbage. But but everything about that experience to her is better than like what I'm selling with like this 20-year-old nostalgia shit, because I've attached the spirit of what I think is cool, like teenage me thinks is cool, to a car.
I feel like one of the key sort of like aspects of this whole spirit and what you want thing is like, you have to be honest with yourself. Like sometimes you want this spirit of this car, but like living with it on the day to day, like depending on where you're at in your life, maybe just it doesn't make sense. So that's the whole thing of like, for example, like, hey, I love these like 2000s modified like Jay-Z powered cars, but like I kind of just want a reliable car that does all that stuff, and I don't have to worry about like this fuel filter and like these, like
I would agree with
coil
you,
plug wires. You know what I mean?
agree with you, but that's the exact opposite of what Mikey was saying. He was like,
no, I know,
but wants to worry about all that shit.
Because that's Mikey, though. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I mean, there's
and Mikey doesn't have a family,
and it's Dustin, and it's Eric, and it's like there's like there's a ton. It's Elio, it's Carl, it's like it's Jono. There's tons of dudes who are all about having an old, super unique vehicle that like you have to continuously maintain and work on.
I can't do it. But I mean, that's the thing, is all those guys are
but you
single.
do it.
All those guys are young, not single, but like they're like young-ish, like non-family dudes that they have not that they don't have anything better to do. I'm just saying that
everybody on that list but Carl is
exactly
family.
They're living the best version of their life.
Yeah. And I mean, you're right. I do it too. But like at the same time, like it's a huge struggle.
But
and like a lot of times.
But Gerard's also doing it to cars that are 15 years old, not 30 years old or 20 years old or 25 years old. And people not to that level.
Yeah, exactly. I get asked all the time, like, "Oh, are you ever going to build another X8 or another X7?" And I'm just like, dude, I can't deal with the windows on an X7. Like they're too slow. I don't know if they're gonna fucking work. Like I can't do it. Like on my Blit, like half the time the windows, not that they don't work, but I'm just like you know what I mean? Like,
man, the windows on my 17 work better than the windows on the 18.
Yeah, it's weird. I feel like there's a lot to do with like lube and maintenance and shit. It's like you got to do some stuff.
But it's like, I don't know. Like I assume no lube or maintenance has ever been done on the 17 or the 18.
Exactly.
Somehow the 17 is still working better.
I don't know. Exactly. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, like I guess the thing is the reward worth the what is it, the work?
Is the lemon worth the squeeze?
Yeah, exactly. Right? and that's the thing. It's like he tried to do the pedal commander and all that shit. And I mean, I don't know. I've never had a BMW, but I would have been super stoked to like drive that series for 2 weeks. I would have been like, yo, like I bet you it's fucking dope.
I'm also interested in that car because Mike Quinn has that car.
Yeah.
And he let Jordan Hall drive it in Calgary, and I was like, let me drive it. I want to know what it's like to have a little bit of money. And they didn't let me drive it. And I was like, but when you say like, oh yeah, it's like an inline six turbo, it's got a 6-speed rear wheel drive, makes all this fucking horsepower. And it's like, it sounds great. And then
I was going to say, except they don't sound that great, do they?
Yeah, they do. They can.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's
did that burnout, and we all liked it. Mikey did that burnout. And we were like, "Yo, this thing's rad." He's like, "Yeah," and then he sells it,
and then
he's literally the next week, it's like it's gone. But I mean, maybe that's a perfect argument for why the 100 is so popular, because there are people that have lots of cars or have had lots of cars, and now they have a 100, and they're like, yo, this car is sick. And like the 100 is a good car, but is it better than, like an E92? Is it better than an E36? Is it better than an S15?
No.
You know what I mean? Like,
dude, BMWs are so cheap right now. It's so crazy. I mean, I understand that like Vancouver's a BMW town, always has been. So there's like a lot of used supply, but like it's bananas. Even on like B4, like there was that $2,500 like 1 Series wagon.
Yeah.
Like there was a $1,500 2009 manual 3 Series. $1,500. It was like, oh, it needs a new clutch. 2009 BMW.
Yeah. And Kevin said, "You make that a Toyota, and you got yourself a deal."
No, I was honestly contemplating it at the time. I was just like, man, like they're so cheap. It like, it's
they're literally the cheapest.
It's another platform. It's another platform for us to as well.
Well, man, I wrote in the back of that one, the one that Mike and Mikey had, and I was like, this is a cool car. And it's like, realistically, if you want to go out and drive and have a good time, is this maybe better than the Aristo? Like, part of me thought that, because I was like, it's sporty out of the box. It's going to handle out of the box. It's got a manual transmission, which I made a big to do in another episode. I don't know which one. And then I think my thing, though, is the cost of entry for everything is just...
But it's not, man.
Not anymore. Now they're like, BMW's come down, JDM's gone way up. It's like,
yeah, but then I got to get rid of this thing that I've said for years that I love and I love and I love and I love it. It might be the perfect thing. It's like, I'm just going to go hop in this car and drive it to Squamish, or I'm going to drive out blah blah blah, and like maybe you'd get like less heat on you for driving that car on like some like Japanese wheels or something.
And I mean that. Yeah, like I just want to have all the cars. So like I would be so stoked to like own all these BMWs too. But like, yeah, there's always like a pecking order, and I'm just kind of like, not right now. It's like Suzuki Swift, BMW 1 Series. I don't think the Suzuki Swift. Like, you know what I mean?
Suzuki Swift.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing too. Like with my Blit, for example, it's like I've created this thing that I always wanted. I always wanted a JZX. I always wanted a wagon. I want, 1JZ, 6-speed, twin plate clutch with the rattle, stiff suspension, low, nice wheels. Like I have all that. And like, I mean, there's obviously still a few things I got to do to make it like nice to actually drive. Like I can't say that the driving enjoyment of that car makes it super rad, you know what I mean? Like now with the seat, maybe if the steering was fast and all that other shit, it's probably cool and like better to drive. But like I guarantee you, if I hopped in a fucking 3 Series or any sort of Nissan that was the equivalent, like the Stagia is already better, like stock, you know what I mean? Like so,
right?
You're not really helping sell the products here, bro.
But that's the thing, is maybe after I put all that shit on, I mean, let's get it straight. I got a GX rack in that thing, and it's basically like an EF Civic or a Civic CX. So like once I put the actual JZX rack in there with the knuckles, that's going to be like complete night and day difference, right? So, but I mean that's just it. They're two different cars. Like one's designed for sportiness, one's designed for. I mean, I don't even know what the Blit was designed for. Fucking to get groceries.
Yes.
Like it's a JZX, like it's still because when they dropped the Chaser and the Cresta, and they dropped the Chaser and Cresta, and they're like, okay, let's make the Verosa and the Mark II. I guess the Verosa was supposed to be the sporty one to like replace the Chaser and shit, and then they kept the Mark II. But realistically, all the Tourer Vs are the same. The spring rates are the same. The sway bars are the same. The steering rack's the same. So, like, what's sportier about the Verosa besides maybe the look and the interior was a bit sportier? But, like, the car is the same fucking car. You know what I mean? So, like, it's not sportier than the other one, So,
I'd like to talk to the person that designed the Verosa.
Yeah, I give him a high five.
Yeah, but I'd also be like, what drugs were you on when you made
Dude, it's the most non-Toyota.
I was gonna just say that it's like the only time Toyota's ever taken a risk.
Exactly. It's like, oh, let's design
and it's
this car.
fucking wild, man.
Yeah, it's cool. That's why
that's what's kind of cool. Yeah.
Yeah, no, look, it is cool and it's wild, but it is the most out there Toyota. Like,
I mean, the Aristo.
I've said it once.
The Aristo's got some pretty interesting styling in the front there too. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, it mostly looks like a German car though. Like,
it does mostly look like a German car.
I mean, so does the Blit. I don't know what's going on with the front end of that thing.
The Verosa is fucking wild, man.
Yeah.
Like that is. You gotta be I've said it once and I will say it again. You gotta have some fucking chops to pull off that car. Like, if you're gonna drive it. I can't drive that because I got one foot in the regular world where people would be like, why do you think that's cool? And then I'd have to explain even longer about why I think the car is cool. It's hard enough explaining why I think an Aristo is cool.
You'd be surprised how many people think Verosas are cool, like normal people. Like normal people are like, oh, that's like a really good looking car.
They either got a bullseye or just missed the mark completely. But I remember one time in the Celsior, I was in traffic and this woman was just like, "That's the nicest Toyota I've ever seen."
Yeah.
Like, oh, thank you.
Yeah, I was saying when I had the Verosa, it was always women that would be like, "Oh, what kind of car is that?" I was like, "Oh, it's a Toyota version. That's beautiful." Because it was that purple color too. So they'd just be like, "Oh, that's a beautiful car," like all the time. But nothing that came after it looked like it, and nothing before it looked like it. No, it's totally an anomaly.
I feel like there's some sort of continued lineage with the Mark X a bit. But I mean, the Mark X comes from the JZX is the lineage, but the Verosa is also JZX. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So there maybe there it is. Yeah. But I mean, the Mark X feels like it was the first to be like in your face about like giant the new styling. Yeah, exactly. It's like, hey, do you like grills? Because his whole front end's about to be a grill. Yeah, I think that was just the generation of Toyota because all the Toyotas, all the Lexus had that grill. Lexus was like, hold my beer. I mean, look at this our Sienna, the 2018 Sienna. The entire front end is a grill. It's like compared to the last gen. It's like that's weird. It's like the complete opposite of the Tesla. It's like no grill, all cool. Grill. I like it. Yeah, I think it looks cool. I mean, honestly, especially how do you like the Alfards? We were going to try and make a 161 or Altezza hourglass bumper that would kind of like incorporate into the stock grill, or like you would have a grill piece that would incorporate into the bumper and have the hourglass. Listen, modernize it. Your Arrow sounds great, but I want body kits. Where do I get body kits? Well, that's what it would have been. It would have been the bumper. Ground effects, I mean. Yeah, I want ground effects and body kits for this car. But that actually goes back to like what I like about those cars and the thing that I attach spirit to. So I guess we haven't really answered the question about spirit. I've got also spirit. The name of a horse. Yes, I do. I've got spirit. How about you? Well, Kevin, you for sure have the most spirit because you have like just different variations of like almost the same car. Let's like revisit this because we jibber-jabbered a lot about it, but one of my favorite spirits of all time is the truck, the QX. Love it. Like that thing. Like from when I bought it, like the first time I drove it home, I was like, yo, this thing is awesome. And it's just always been awesome. I always think that truck is awesome. All right. Hang on though. Let's make sure we're getting this. I drank that beer real quick. Now I want to make sure we're doing our job. So I guess my question is, how important is that the spirit of a car to you guys? And at what point does checking off the boxes outweigh the spirit of the car? And I will say, I don't think he actually cares what I think. But my point is, I want to hear it. Not yet. The boxes don't outweigh the spirit of the car because for whatever dumb reason, I can't get over the fact that I want to own this like second gen Aristo instead of like the car that probably has the button to be like, I don't feel like being sporty today. I want to be comfortable or I want to do this. It's like, no, I want to drive the like fucking 20-year-old car
that requires a long list of explaining. Got a lot of explaining to do with that car. So it hasn't outweighed yet. I do worry that I'll never get to the point where the check boxes outweigh the spirit of the car.
Maybe you just haven't driven something good enough yet.
I got a pretty interesting story. So yeah, like I haven't driven the Crown in like a month or more. Battery's completely flat. I like get the snow tires.
Which Crown?
The 17 Crown. I've driven it. The insurance expired. Like we had winter break. I jump in, get the snow tires on, go to drive it home. Basically, like stalls out or like doesn't have enough charge to idle at the light. So now I have to like try and jump the car by myself. The car that has no e-brake. It jumps, won't idle, so I have to try and jam the gas pedal on. So I'm like literally spend like 15 minutes trying to like get the car to run at this light by myself last night. Like luckily it wasn't like raining at the time, but like there's like ice on the ground. I'm like slipping, trying to like walk back and forth between like the jump box and like the car to reset it every time the car like doesn't start. But then yeah, like honestly, like having the welded diff and the clutch in that car versus driving the 18 Crown, it's so much more fun. Like that to me right there is just like, yeah, there's definitely some like issues with the car and like it's not perfect, but it's so much more fun than this other car that is so much less like in my head,
But I mean, like you're kind of comparing. Like first of all, you're comparing apples to oranges, and then also like for the 18 Crown.
All I'm trying to say is it has issues, but like it puts a huge smile on my face, and it's like that to me is what it's like. The 18 Crown doesn't put a smile on my face. It's just like I walk up and the door's already unlocked, and like I get in and I turn my brain off and I get there. Like I don't have to, But I'm never happy about it.
But what if
it just unlocks when you walk up. Like,
no, I know what you mean. It's just it's such a funny thing because most people would be like, "Oh, I'm fucking amped!" Like the door unlocked. Because I messaged that to Gerard when I drove the Infinity, and he's like, pretty much made fun of me. Like, what's wrong with you? And I was like, I've never experienced this.
No, I mean,
and you're like saying like, I don't want that. I want the analog.
No, I'm stoked. I'm super stoked about those things. It just the car.
Babies you.
But what I'm saying,
I can't kick the clutch in that car. I can't like
yet.
But what I'm saying is like, yeah, exactly. Like you're basically taking the lamest version of a lame car and comparing it to like a modified version of a pseudo lame car. You know what I mean? So it's it's not like an accurate. I mean. Don't you have
I feel like that's a
spirit. Fairly accurate comparison, then no?
Yeah, because I think
it's not like I'm comparing my car versus a Taycan. Then like I'm comparing like the literally one generation before to the next generation.
I mean, but okay, first of all, like what if you had the 2GR version? So like it actually ripped, and then maybe it had an LSD. So two small changes might make that car significantly better to drive or funner or whatever.
Yeah, no, totally. I don't disagree.
Or maybe he would still want a clutch kick. Like
I still would.
Who's the guy to say?
But those two things would definitely make it better.
Yeah,
it would help.
But I know what you're saying because for example, I mean, perfect example, the Stagia. The Stagia is like lowest model, 2.5 liter, fucking NA, 4-speed auto, like. Fully bullshit transmission that I can't even believe exists in 2001. And like what it has like cheap Tanabe coilovers on it. But yeah, that car, the spirit and the embodiment or whatever of that car, like all the like Nissan-ness of that car is already like better to drive than a stock. Like comparing stock for stock Blit to like Stagia, like
sure,
way better. But like now the Blit's all modified and shit, like the gap is definitely less.
So I think the answer to this question is that boxes to be checked, Gerard is the most likely to be checking boxes. Is that fair to say?
100%. I don't have the patience for old, like not old, but like.
Yeah. Gerard's old. He doesn't have patience for old. He wants new.
Yeah.
Keep him young.
I had like 1969 cars and 1972 cars when I was, young. So it's like,
I've listened to every podcast. I know.
Yeah, exactly.
Kevin, I think, is a bit of a romantic, a little bit, maybe. Kevin, you can correct me if you don't think that you're a bit of a romantic.
I'd say so.
I say you could take the trucks as a perfect example. Kevin's truck is the most analog, like not archaic, but like it's the most like industrial analog.
Yeah, it's like a tractor.
It's literally a four-wheel drive tractor with a cab on it. And then mine is like the most luxurious whatever.
George is like a sports SUV.
Yeah.
Luxury sports SUV.
Yeah, exactly. Which is what realistically, like now when they advertise cars on in commercials, they're like, you used to have a weekend vehicle. Your weekend vehicle is also your day-to-day vehicle. And you like sporty SUVs, and it's like Gerard commercial.
Yeah.
Not actually.
Maybe that's one thing to say though. Is like you can't buy the vehicles that we're talking about anymore.
No.
So if you do like that, like era or whatever of those type of vehicles, like or that style of vehicle, it's like they're not even really making that many sedans anymore. Like sedan market's gone. You know what I mean? So it's like. Yeah. Like maybe you're not even going to be able to buy a sedan in 15 years. Like everything's just going to be a wagon. Like, but it makes sense. It's like the wagon is always more practical, like infinitely more practical.
And that's the other thing, another sort of like side thing, but like maybe sort of relatable is like, I couldn't stop talking about the Taycan sick. And now they got this Rivian truck that like, can kind of do some of this Taycan shit, but it can also do some of my truck shit. I'm just like, oh, like I want that. Like it's as fast as a Taycan, but I can drive it off road and carry my family and bikes. Like I don't love the Taycan styling.
I love the like Dyson headlights. Like
they're so weird.
Yeah, it's so weird. Honestly, like the minute I saw that, I was just like, yo, we should make a front end conversion kit. Like just sell it to every single person who buys that truck. Like,
yeah, exactly.
I have a confession. In doing this podcast for 37 episodes, I've assigned characters to each of us in my head.
Okay.
And like we should have
make a comic book.
Yeah,
we each have a role to play. And Kevin is always going to be, I assign Kevin as the drift guy. Yes, you both drift, but like Kevin is, as when I line you two up, and if there was a way to do like a personality test for car guys, Kevin for sure checks.
We should make that like as a BuzzFeed article.
Yeah. Kevin for sure checks more of the test.
Which category of car guy are you?
Yeah. Drift. And then it's just Kevin, drifter guy, meme lord. And then like Gerard, you are like drifting is a thing that you enjoy, but overall experience is like your jam. Like overall, you're just like, I think if drifting were to go away, Kevin would probably be more detrimentally affected than Gerard would, because Gerard would still be like, I can just rip everywhere and take this electric truck off-roading and then like hit the curves and drift in the snow. And I don't think that would check the boxes for Kevin. My role is I'm an idiot and you have to explain things to me like an idiot so that if there's other idiots listening, they can understand as well. But so that's my takeaway. So I think that, and Kevin, if I'm way off base what I'm about to say, please correct me.
Yo, I don't mean to offend you, and I'm not trying to be racist, but
no. I was going to say the things that you attach to in a car probably more so are the clutch and the diff and the e-brake, because those are more tied to drifting, whereas like Gerard can maybe go a little bit without some of those things if the car is faster or comfier, or the windows go down faster, or the strokes in the turn signal indicate that it's a fast car. Like, I don't know.
You know what? I'm gonna have to say you're way off base here. You know?
Okay.
Because,
explain to me why.
Because my clutch could be like adjusted improperly, and I just use it, and like, you know, like the e-brake could only be locking up one wheel 75 and the other wheel like 30, and I would be like, all right, I have to pull it harder when I enter this way. Whereas like Gerard would feel and notice all those things and want to fix them and make them better, and I would just
But
like, and that's to me the same way where like it's like, oh hey, the turn signal's doing this, and it's just like I just be like, oh yeah, the turn signal's doing this, and like now I have to do this. Like,
maybe I didn't explain this. I think Gerard's more concerned with the overall picture of everything.
Yeah.
And like, you're like, I need this to do what I need it to do. As
right now,
the archetype of a drifter, you're like, I just need it to go sideways.
Yeah.
Gerard's like, no, my car should go sideways, but I should feel comfy when I do it. My window should go down at the pace that I want.
Yeah.
I should accelerate and brake properly. Oh, and the turn signals need to have the right time so that like it invigorates me to go sideways. Like, that is the difference. Is what that's my thought. And so
I'm a simpler man. I just needed to go sideways.
But you know, okay, one thing that's funny. Okay, so you know, I put that new battery in the blimp, right? And then I can't remember where I was, but I fired it up the other day. And Jake's like, it wasn't only Jake, someone else. I think it was Dustin. They're like, yo, like your starter sounds crazy. And I was like, yeah, it sounds crazy, but like Jake's like, yeah, it sounds way different than my car. I'm like, yeah, I guess. Like I didn't really notice it because I guess I'd already gotten used to that. Yeah. And every time when I started it after that, I started paying attention. And even it's been fucking cold here. It's been minus 15, 17. But that motherfucker starts like doesn't matter how cold it is. I was like, man, like it's so sick to have this like 600 cranky amp battery, like from that tiny piece of shit that came in the GX. But anyways,
the golf cart battery.
Yeah, it was ridiculous. But yeah,
anyway,
happy to have a good battery.
Good. Perfect. Meanwhile, Kevin's talking about how his battery's dying. He's like, outside.
Dude, it's like a brand new Toyota battery. Like when I bought the car.
Yeah, it's fine.
Batteries are a pain in the ass.
No, man, it's just the Crown. It's Crown 17 Crown electronics are a pain in the ass.
You got to pay to play, man. That's part of the 17 Crown experience. That's
what I mean, man. It's like, dude, I was sitting there at a stoplight for 15 minutes. Like the stoplight went green like 5-6 times. Like I had the four-ways on, but they'd only work when the jump box was on because the battery was so dead that it like couldn't even do the four-ways.
I probably would have sold the car the next day. I was just going to get fucked this thing. I don't want to deal with this shit again.
But that's what I mean. Then I literally had so much fun on my way to work that I was just like, dude, this is the best. Like,
yeah.
I will say that's the most it seems uncharacteristic for the podcast. Kevin's story is that story a little bit. Just because like Kevin's usually, like last week when we did this, you were actually preaching about how important it is before you street drive your car to the track. About
how to check everything.
Check everything and make sure it's all good.
You know what's funny?
Then you're like, my battery.
Well, I don't do bolt checks. Like I don't think I've ever done a fucking bolt check. I just like when I assemble it, I'm like, yeah, it's good. I know it's good. I don't have to fucking check it. But yeah, I remember like when we'd go drifting, Kevin would be like, oh, I'm just doing bolt checks and like doing all this stuff. I'm just like, yeah, I'll do that too. And then I would just like stand around or some shit and just be like, I'm pretty sure it's good, man. Like, yeah. Anyway,
if we've learned anything from tonight's podcast is if that the bolt was out of place, you'd be like, I felt it. I need to fix it.
That's true. Yeah.
Well, actually, Gerard Gerard drove and went to a drift event, and like the nuts that hold the cross member, like the entire motor, were backed off. Yeah, so like the cross member would drop whenever like the suspension went into droop, basically.
Yeah, I remember that. I drove it. It was the Aristo. I drove it like for a couple of days, and I was like, "Oh, something's weird." And then I forgot. I guess I forgot to tighten them. Yeah.
Well, there you go. You figured it out.
Not good to do with 600 horsepower.
Yeah. So I guess actually answer the question instead of just bullshit. it feels like box is subjective because cars are subjective and it's different for everyone. Kevin will live with the battery issue that he had, where Gerard was like, I'd sell that the next day.
Yeah.
And
or
then
totally fix it. Yeah.
And then like I'll live with the dumbest shit on my car just because like I don't know any better. Like when I drive the Aristo, I'm just fucking happy to drive it. And then Gerard drives it. It's like, your car's whack. And it's like, I don't know because I don't know any better because I'm dumb. And then it gets fixed. I don't know.
But man. I mean, that's like a thing too. It's like if you don't know, like if all you've ever driven is like cars that have like vacuum actuated windows, like how the hell are you supposed to know that a window's supposed to go up and down in like 2.5 seconds and have sensors at the top where it stops per, like when you got like vacuum actuated windshield wipers or like any any of that old school technology, if that's all you've known, like
I'm not the right person for this because I am living in like an ignorance is bliss type thing, right? Like
you and me both.
Yeah, never want for something you can't have, and when you can't have anything, just don't want for it. So it's like I actually give
you're selling yourself short.
It
could be enjoyable.
I could sell the Aristo, but then it's like that is the question is, what do you drive instead of the Aristo? And if you've listened to enough of these podcasts, my answer always changes and none of them are real answers. There was a while and I still really like old Datsun Zeds, but that would probably be even fucking worse. And
100%.
But I just think they look cool. It's unfortunate that Mikey couldn't just answer this question for us because he had presumably all the boxes and there was like, no, but I've never had the boxes. So I've never had to make that choice. Kevin has had some of the boxes, but
yeah, like Gerard said, like, I feel like we talked about it at the shop today where it was just like, the G35 with, like a dual caliper setup, a lightweight flywheel, a welded diff, coilovers, and some angle. Like at the time, like, beat the Altezza, which had every single thing, and the JZ. Like it just was an easier car to drive. But like, there's just a bunch of like I couldn't get down with the interior, like all the gauges and all the instrumentation, everything was like orange.
Like orange is pretty bad.
It just felt really cheap. Like when you shut the door, like you'd feel the windshield wipers on the window through the firewall.
And he's talking about an Altezza.
No, I'm talking about the G35.
No, I know, but you're comparing it to an Altezza, which is the lowest Toyota.
Is the lowest,
it's not even an IS. An IS, like if I know maybe you listeners in the States don't know, but like the Altezza and the IS 300 are actually very different cars. So the Altezza compared to a G35 is pretty like it's a thing.
And that's the thing. It was like, right, it already was a better car. Like it, I didn't have to swap the motor. Like, I didn't have to like find a transmission adapter and do all the shit. I just got the G35 and drove it. But I just never really could get down with it. The other problem is like the whole like Nissan thing. It's like to look low in the fenders, like the car is on the ground, and that car scraped everything everywhere. So
that's definitely like a plus for Toyotas is like it can be dumped and still totally driven.
Yeah, they like they're fender low but not rocker low, whereas like the Nissan's the opposite way. It's like rocker low but not fender low.
Yeah. I mean, also you had smaller than stock tires on that thing. So that's kind of one of the things with the new gen cars. It's like we're used to running, 235 40s and shit. And this thing comes stock with like 235 45 18. So like, you're going to have to put a bigger tire on or suffer the consequences of the entire underside, steering rack, differential being on the ground.
Which is kind of cool for a while. But
for a bit.
Yeah. So
I don't know. I found it. I think I would find it cooler in the Celsior. You know what I mean? Like it felt weird, just like scraping the G35 along the ground all the time. But like scraping the Celsior on the ground felt like proper.
An accomplishment.
Yeah, I felt like it should. That's what it should be. Like.
Yeah.
When do the boxes matter? And there is no answer.
No, they always matter. The boxes always matter. Like I feel like
the boxes are different.
Well, I mean,
If the boxes mattered, we'd all have new cars. Like,
well, no,
Gerard.
I mean, like it's just, I guess, different boxes, maybe.
Yeah.
Honestly,
Because I don't know, like same
I
thing.
have the
Like
perfect
rear wheel
answer.
drive, 6-speed. Like it's still, maybe it still has to be those boxes. You know?
You got to go sideways. Gerard's got to fucking
like it's not.
edge
Yeah, it's not going to be a front wheel drive. That's one of the boxes.
Okay, you guys are all wrong. The real answer to everything is just get more fucking cars, right? I need the box. Yeah. Okay, I need the box to be checked for a high revving 4-cylinder. So I bought a motorbike, right? I bought a fucking inline 4 Suzuki, whatever. I need the box to be checked for a V8, super fast SUV that can carry. So I bought that thing, and that checks that box. I need a box to be checked for my old Toyota rear-wheel drive JZ car. So I have that thing. I need a box to be checked for like the Nissan because it's like the better car. So I have that.
With a Toyota engine.
Well,
maybe,
unless
maybe, right? Yeah. And then, so now I need a box I got these boxes, I moved farther from the shop soon. So now I need a box to be checked for like an economy car that's fun and sporty to drive and good on gas, yet looks cool. So now I'm going to buy this other thing. You know what I mean? So like the real answer is just buy more fucking cars to check all the boxes you could possibly ever have.
Create more boxes and keep checking.
You need a super fast car that doesn't use gas? Buy a Taycan. Like,
do you need a super fast car that doesn't use gas and can go off road?
Buy a Rivian.
Has weird headlights. Buy a Rivian.
You need a stupid, super boring car that like drives by itself. Buy a Tesla. Like, done.
Yeah, you need a car that shakes itself apart and the windshield's falling out. Buy an Echo.
Yeah, man. I mean, like, there is a box. Like, hey, man, I need a car right now that like can get me to work and back. There's a bunch of $1,500 cars that's going to check the box.
Yeah.
Buy that one.
Yeah, exactly. So, when if you don't make it to work for 3 days because you don't have a car, then you've already lost more money than $1,500 car. You're going to buy any car.
Yeah.
So maybe that is it. The box. Maybe it isn't even this. There isn't a spirit to a car. There are no boxes to a car. Just the boxes we create.
What about like when they describe like a brake pad or like a Mortal Kombat fighter in the pentagram, and it has like all those like like feel like heat dissipation, like noise, like it feels like that.
Diagram.
No, Venn diagram circles that overlap.
Oh, okay. I always thought it was that. What's that thing called?
I have no. I don't have no clue what that's called.
Yeah, that's the better one. It's always in the Japanese.
Yeah,
those are sick. Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, it feels like maybe, you know what I mean. Like every car fits into that, and like it just it's which way does it go?
It's
we should make
acceleration and handling are the ones for when you play when you used to play in video games.
But that's like a bar graph.
And the cars, it was like.
But then we would just make that into. It wouldn't be a pentagon. It'd be like an octagon or something.
It'd be like 99 different options. Window speed, turn signal travel. Yeah. Different abilities of the intermittentness.
Yeah.
Can your child open the door themselves?
Yeah, exactly.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. How hard is it to shut the door?
Towing capability, all those things.
Imagine if a car checked all the boxes. It would be atrocious.
See, that's the thing, man. That's like what
it feels like the newest, highest level cars are
checking more boxes. Because that's it, right? It's
that's 600. Like, does anyone need a 600 horsepower station wagon video?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just like everybody needs a 600 horsepower station wagon. Yeah, it's like that car ticks every fucking box, man.
Which car was that again?
I think it's like the Panamera. It's like the Panamera.
Yeah, that car does, and that's the e-hybrid Gran Turismo Panamera, and that car is amazing. Yeah, like so sick. It's like, of course you need that car. Like you want it to be loud.
Because honestly, that's the thing. It literally does feel like if you had that car, it could replace 8 other cars.
Yeah, it could replace a bunch of cars for sure.
I wish we knew really rich people, and then we could ask them if they had that car, if they still had any other car. Or are they like?
The other thing is, I think if you're really rich, you probably, no matter what, you have some other cars too.
Yeah, exactly. And then I want to know why. And they aren't going to be like, because I'm really rich, unless they're like fucking the worst. They'll be like, this car is my daily, and then this one is for. They'll have like a made up reason to why.
Well, I mean, I know one disadvantage of those cars is getting in and out of them is not that comfortable, and I mean, like, not that we give a shit. Like, I have a semi bucket in my daily. It's like you just got to do it a different way. But like, I know like a lot of normal people would be like, hey, like this is like too racy of a seating position or whatever. Like, like getting in the Taycan is not easy for me.
I was gonna say that, like, yeah, even the Taycan is like that.
Yeah, it's a thing. Like, you're getting into, but a car.
I was gonna say, like, I'm sure getting into a 911 or getting into a 355, it's like it's the same thing. It's not exactly. It's not easy getting into the 355.
No. Like, but I mean, maybe that's what I mean as far as a daily that you drive every day to like get groceries and shit. Maybe it's like a bit too much. A little bit
too much. Yeah. But yeah, honestly, I think it's that perfect level of too much that we would fully appreciate.
Yeah. And also, like, the seat is like adjustable 800 million fucking ways. So you could probably just like have it super far out and like it's just a normal ass seat.
Splay it out and like lift it up, and it's not, like falling into the car.
Yeah, it's not a full bucket.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's funny. Yeah, all right. Man.
I kind of love full bucket though, man. I love the being like an astronaut or like a fucking child in a baby seat or whatever.
The seats in that car are unbelievable. Like, they're just, I don't know how much they cost, but they're worth it. Whatever the hell they cost, like the adjustments and the heating and the they're just unbelievable, man.
All right. I got the answer. The answer to the question is, when do the boxes outweigh the spirit? And it's when you can afford all of the boxes.
I mean, that's true.
That's true. Because you buy more cars or buy a better car.
And because all of Gerard's cars, they're all great and they're cool, but they still don't equal the amount of a Porsche Taycan, right?
No,
like, if you sold all of your shit, you'd still be like, I'm a little bit short for this Porsche Taycan.
A lot short.
Yeah. And maybe that's it. We're creating boxes and checking them ourselves based on budgetary restraints.
Yeah.
What?
It's a budgetary restraint. It's like what you can afford.
Yeah. It's not what you want. It's what you can get.
And it is cheaper to own 8 15-year-old or 20-year-old cars or 6-year-old cars than it is to own a Porsche Taycan.
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
like one thing I will say about that is, it's like, I feel this is like a fairly apt comparison. It's like, that's like saying, all right, well, maybe I want to own like one really nice pair of like Balenciaga shoes or something, or I'm going to own 8 pairs of these other shoes. It's like, but if you get one pair of shoes wet, you could still wear the other one. If like you lose one pair of shoes, you still have 7 more pairs. It's like, if you get your one really nice pair of shoes wet, or you bottom it out and the battery breaks, or the battery dies.
Whoa, are we still talking about shoes?
Or the car gets stolen, or you know what I mean? I don't know, like any number of things that could happen to the only one super expensive car you have.
Or it's in the shop all the time.
That's, it's in the shop, or like you get a flat, or it gets stolen, or the battery dies, or anything. Now you don't have any other cars. But like, if something happens to your truck, you could drive your car. If something happens to your car, you could take your other car. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's like, I'm doing this to this car so I could drive my other car. Like,
I love this. I just want to give a little bit of feedback. I'm upset that we changed the analogy halfway through, because I wanted it to all be related to shoes.
No, so I wanted.
Yeah, but then you were like, the battery bottoms out, and then at a shop. Your shoes aren't at a shop.
Okay, well, I mean, I originally was like, your shoes get wet, or you lose a pair of shoes,
or like you don't got enough arch support in your shoes for whatever.
Yeah, exactly. It's not exactly.
I want that analogy.
Okay, sorry. Yeah, then your sandals don't really protect you in the snow, and then like when you go to the golf course in your dress loafers, you slip when you try and spike the ball or whatever,
Yeah. It's fucking snowing out, and
you need multiple. You need multiple pairs of shoes. Not one shoe could do every job.
And I will tell you, this resonates with me because I only really have 3 pairs of shoes. I got some Vans slip-ons,
some Vans high tops, and some Vans.
Well, like the like Vans classic type things, and then I got a pair of like Nike that look like Timberlands. That if it's like really snowing out, then I wear those, and that's perfect.
Yeah,
and that what you've said there encapsulates me as a person. I have 2 cars, all terrain and useless, and those are the so my deck shoes are useless. And anyway, all right, perfect.
How many pairs of shoes do you think you have, Gerard?
A lot. I mean, I don't think that many right now, but I have. I don't know. Like,
I'm in my bedroom. I could count them right now.
You probably have 10 for sure. That's more than 10.
I got 16.
There you go. It's a lot of shoes.
Yeah, I'm not saying. Yeah, no, I'm.
That's a perfect analogy. You fucking did it. This whole time we thought car guys were like horse girls, and they aren't.
What?
No, that's definitely like a thing.
There's a bit there. Yeah, there's definitely a thing there.
Yeah.
But maybe we're just all fucking what's her face from Sex and the City.
Jessica.
Sarah Jessica Parker. Yeah, Carrie Bradshaw. We're just all Carrie Bradshaw in our way through cars.
You have to have so many cars to like fit the bill.
Yeah.
Okay. Is that the only question we're doing tonight? Because
I think we've
been talking about this question for.
I feel like we've done it for 1 hour. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like been about an hour and a bit.
Yeah, it's probably be the only thing we talk about, which I think is fine.
Pretty good.
We're getting real good at stretching something out, you know?
Yeah.
I want to ask people, let's do this. I want people to write in what they like about our podcast.
I don't want to know.
Why?
Because then we start fucking focusing on that.
Pandering to that? Yeah.
No, man. We just do what we do. But like, I think it's funny because I feel like we have a decent listening population. And like, I want to know like what they find, like what aspects they enjoy about our podcast.
I like
because I feel like half the time we don't even talk about anything. Like I'm sure, like it is a question and like we're answering it sort of, but like man, there's a lot of answers to that motherfucking question. You know what I mean? Like
we said all of them. No, I think it goes back to still people like that because this is a conversation between 3 friends talking about cars.
Yeah, and
especially like in a pandemic, it was probably very hard to do that, or people get, like people have said, it's like when I used to come to Serial9 and shoot the shit with you guys.
Yeah.
Now I just sit around and listen to 3 guys shoot the shit on a conversation that I feel like I could be involved in.
I feel that like one thing would be cool is that like to just reach out to these people who are asking the questions and just get them to record a soundbite of them asking the question.
Yeah,
that's a good idea. But I was gonna say, like, I want to know, like what aspects you like. Like, do we inspire you? Like, what if, for example, like people are like choked or depressed and they're like, yo, I want to listen to like some Serial9, and then maybe they feel like stoked because they could just feel like they're like with their homies, like you said, like in this pandemic stuff. Like a lot of people are like, not doing great or like, shit like that.
I mean, it also is like people get older; they don't have as much time to go hang out with their car friend. Like, there's a ton of things I think.
Like I think that's definitely a part of it. It's like a bunch of homies are just like, yo, like I feel like I finally get to hang out with you guys, once every 2 weeks again or whatever. Like instead of once a year,
Oh, look, we got another question.
Oh,
did it just come in right now?
No, I just realized someone asked it on a YouTube channel. On the YouTube channel.
All right, what's the next question?
And also MRG, I don't know. Anyway, says I listen on Spotify. Please never stop doing these. Okay, thanks. That's nice. All right, Aaron Grandgruth.
Why you gotta butcher the names all the time?
Man? I don't know, man.
Damn name.
Aaron Grandgruth. Gran. Maybe I'm illiterate, Gerard. I don't know.
Maybe you should reach out to these people and ask them how to pronounce their name before you butcher it.
I just found it now, so I'm sorry. And
it's always like this guy. I can't quite read his name, nor can I understand or pronounce it. But He asked this question. Anyways,
yeah, that's my shtick. Also, I hate reading things, so me doing this is a big step.
That's why you should make the people read their own shit.
Yeah.
Okay. So the question
all
is,
all right. Any chance y'all make some more suspension parts / bushings for the JZZ30 chassis? Also, even though not a 4-door and weird enough for Gerard, what's the view on a Soarer?
I don't hate them. People know them. I don't hate Soarers. Besides the fact that they're just like kind of like super overly heavy coupes. You ever had to deal with the door on one? It's just unbelievable. I've had to replace the hinges on those things, and it's like, wow. But yeah, cool cars. I mean, I've definitely have intimate experience with Soarer / SC300s. They're cool. They can look cool, but I would rather have a 147 Aristo or a 161 Aristo.
Me too.
Yeah. But other than that, they're good cars. Do we make more parts? I don't know, man. Like, probably not. Yeah, the market's real small for the Supras and Z30s and stuff, and those are the only cars that use those items. Could we sell those parts? Probably. Is it worth it to do that, or like a newer car? Not really. So we're sort of transitioning to like the newer cars, different brands of cars, and unfortunately, I feel like Z30 is not really high up on our list.
Man, we get lots of nice comments on YouTube.
What does it say?
We got one from DJ Sideways 07. It said, "Thanks for making my 1 hour each way commute from Abbey to Van go much quicker.
Nice.
I get home happy instead of frustrated with all the idiot drivers."
Yeah.
And he said, "My wife thanks you too." And I said, "Merry Christmas, boys. I'm looking forward to the next year's podcast." Man, our comments on YouTube. Someone messaged us. It was like, "Y'all talking about oatmeal crisp?"
Yeah,
that's
exactly what
get
that
at Walmart.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, good. Love it.
Yo, so if you're looking for a crashed Crown Estate wagon or a fully completed Altezza, hit us up.
Do you want to sell your Altezza?
Just like a little bit over it, but like, I mean, I got no reason to get rid of it.
Interesting. Anyway, should we wrap this?
Wrap it up.
Let's do it.
Figure it out. All right. So did we check all the boxes to that question?
I don't think we couldn't have.
We talked for so long. Ooh. And I literally have another question, but that's fine. We'll do it later.
What's the other question? Let's just real quick throw it out there. Hurry up.
Ben Walker of Third Strike Ben.
Yeah.
Hey, dude, long-time listener, first-time messenger. Absolutely love the podcast. You and the guys do. Just wanted to ask one little question. Does Gerard have any updates if he'll be swapping the Nissan BK V8 instead of the 2JZ into the Stagia build? High revving V8s have really piqued my interest lately. Would love to see one in a slammed Stagia drift car. Thanks. Where are we at, Gerard?
I'd really like to say yes, but like I have zero response from, I don't even remember the name anymore, man. Hartley Racing Engines. Like I spoke with him on the phone, great conversation. Everything seemed to be dope, but like he's like, okay, email me, blah, blah, this and that. I'll get back to you with pricing, everything. It's been months, man. I haven't heard anything back. I still want to do it, but like I have a 600 horse JZ sitting there. I'm probably just going to put it in. You know what I mean?
Right.
But like
unless they come back.
Yeah, my heart is with. I really want to do a V8. I really want to do a high revving V8 that makes 700-800 horsepower. I think that'd just be amazing. But yeah, we'll see. I got to start working on that car real soon. So it looks like the JZ is going in. So, yeah.
Maybe Hartley Racing wants to do a sponsorship with the podcast from Canada. All they have to do is answer Gerard's email.
Yeah, but I did talk to Nelson on the phone, and he was great, and everything. He like fully answered all my questions and everything. I just need to follow through with that. So
I mean, it is a tricky thing. They probably have a bunch of clients that are way closer to Canada.
Yeah.
I want to build like crazier engines.
Yeah. I mean, I can't imagine that they're not incredibly busy. So
yeah.
Good.
Cool. Well, that's a good, quick answer.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
all right.
Thanks for listening.
Thanks for hanging out with us.
It's been a pleasure.
What a time.
Glad you could make it.
Okay. Let's end this.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to Serial Podcast 9.